to this week's edition of Invisible Walls. As promised last week, we are back, and we'll be back every week to follow. So I'm Shane Satterfield, editor-in-chief of the site, and on the show this week we have Ryan Stevens.
Hello, people.
Ryan, you just received a nice promotion here at Game Trailers. You're now editorial director. How do you feel about that?
I wish it was doctor, because then I wouldn't have to go back to school. But no, that's cool.
Game MD.
Yeah, like Doogie.
We also have Patrick Morales here today. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, guys?
And the Duke of Nottingham is in the house after a long vacation of trying to whale watch. How'd that work out for you, Justin?
I didn't see any whales, but you usually don't see them on land anyway, so.
Let's say beach.
That depends on where you live in America, right?
I didn't see any sea whales.
And we also have Brooks Huber sitting in on the show today. What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Also, this week on Game Trailers TV, on Spike TV at 1 a.m. on Friday night, we have the exclusive blowout debut of the new Godfather game. And I can tell you by checking it out here, we are very, very impressed with it. Really surprised at its quality. EA's been really cool about holding back any video of that game for the debut on Game Trailers TV, so be sure to check that out. All right, let's jump right to it. Time is tight. The first thing we're going to talk about today is Pixel Junk Eden. So Pixel Junk, traditionally that series has been one of the better downloadable games available for PlayStation Network.
Except for the slot car racing.
Yeah, that one kind of sucked. But otherwise, I mean, as far as PSN games go, I think it's certainly on the top shelf. This one looks like the best of the bunch.
The amount of content they packed into this, Brooks, I know you played a lot of it, but going from the first level and then seeing the difference just between level 1 and level 5.
Oh yeah, it gets really difficult as you go through.
But there's actually a lot of variety.
Oh yeah.
I was afraid because level 2 was kind of
for the sake of our viewers, let's actually talk about what it is first, because everyone may not have seen it already.
Right, that's the one question I kept getting from everybody. I was like, I had to describe it over and over again. So you play this little guy, and his name is Grimp. It's a combination of his abilities to jump and grip onto things. Clever.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
He's not Gimp, he's a Grimp.
Summon the Grimp.
And so the
It's
object
like the
of the
combination. It's like the Grinch with paralyzed legs or something.
So the object of the game, you start out in the main garden, the Eden Garden, and then from there that gives you an access to each level, and in each level you just need to collect 5 hidden spectra, these little orbs that you get. And the first time you go in, you just have to get 1. Second time 2, and then 3 and 4, 5, so on.
It's like Mario 64 with the stars.
Yeah, basically that's the easiest way to describe it.
It really is kind of a platformer, though, right? Except it's very unorthodox in that they're not all perfectly horizontal, and the platforms have curves and things like that.
Everything's shifting.
And instead of collecting coins, you're collecting the pollen from the enemies
what you do
to grow the
is
seeds.
you break the pollen, and those feed the seed pods, so everything could grow and let you reach higher places that you couldn't reach before.
The art style's awesome. Yeah. I love it. I love how you use the flat colors. They aren't really primary. They aren't really pastel. They just did a really good job choosing the color palette.
The music is just awesome.
Yeah, I mean, my only nitpick of the game is, like Brooks just said, you have to get 1, and then you have to get 2, so you have to get the one you just got, and they kick you out of the garden each time.
Oh.
So it seems like they did a little tack-on value there, because the game's pretty long for a downloadable game.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting how long
especially
to be playing
to get all the.
How long did it take you to finish it, Brooks?
10 hours of
Wow.
gameplay, yeah.
And I mean, but it's cool though. I mean, even the hub world, how every time you get a Spectra, how it grows the world, and I can go explore. Maybe I can reach a new level now.
And how much did it cost to buy it off PSN?
$9.99.
Wow, that's a good deal.
It's a really good deal.
We're paying $60 for games that last 5 hours.
Yeah.
You can get all that for 10. I'd say that's a pretty good deal.
And this game's also a little infamous for being the first game to actually be released with trophies.
Oh, that's right.
So.
Who was trying to get a trophy? It was me, Bloodworth, and
Marco.
The 3 of us, yeah. Which it supports up to 3 players only locally, though. You can't play online. And we were trying to do this trapeze trophy where you start swinging, you throw your partner up in the air, and then the third guy will try to catch him in the air and then throw him back to you. And we kept trying over and over again. Couldn't get it.
Never got
it.
it.
Must have been doing something slightly off.
Well, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos, and you see the guys do it again and again, and then suddenly it dings. So I'm not sure what. There must be some.
We were doing
iffy
something
coding,
right.
But eventually, you saw them do it 4 times, and then on the 4th time it worked.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, you can record your videos and upload them straight to YouTube.
Directly to YouTube, yep.
Or save them locally. It's pretty cool.
Check out my grimping, guys.
Check out my Grimp walk.
Work safe.
All right, next up is On the Hook, where we answer your burning questions about the video game industry.
I hope.
Patrick, what's our question?
All right, this one's from Dark Ultima, the darkest of all arcane
Ultimans.
magics. All right, despite the art director for Diablo 3 quitting, do you think it makes a difference in gameplay and other things if it didn't have the whole gothic look like some people have manipulated in the pictures? Well,
Manipulated in the picture.
What now? I think I missed something.
Hey now.
yeah. Anyway, I think it makes a huge difference. I mean, that's what Blizzard's been saying this whole time. Working with 3D, they have the opportunity to work with, brighter colors, richer graphics. And
You can do that with sprites, though. I mean,
they can do that with
sprites
sprites.
don't limit your color palette.
They can do that with sprites, but if you've noticed in the past Diablos, it had a very non-saturated look. It was very muted, and it was hard to kind of pick apart where your character was and your teammates from the rest of the enemies. And I guess that's what they're trying to do different in Diablo 3. They're going for richer colors, higher depth with the graphics, and it just lends to a more separated look between your character and the environment. I think going for the grim dark gray brown look would be kind of counterproductive to what they can do with the engine. I totally support Blizzard for what they're doing right now. I think it looks good. I don't think they should yield to the 50,000 whatever signatures that were collected online, because that's really a drop in the sea.
I agree. I mean, I remember playing the old Diablos, and everything just kind of turned into a gray, black, and brown smear.
Yeah, you had to we're constantly feathering the highlight items, highlight monsters buttons, so you could just know what's going on. But you have to remember, I think when Diablo 2 shipped, I think they were patched later, but I think it was only 800 by 600 and 256 colors, because Blizzard, has a nature of going for the low-end making great games, but having them work on low-end hardware, so they can sell it to more people.
Yeah.
So it's cool that they're stepping up, and like you said, it can still be dark, but now that things are 3D, you can put on normal mapping, and all this other lighting effects can happen that hopefully can really differentiate things when you're playing.
I like the new look.
Yeah, I dig it.
I mean, does everyone just want the same game again?
I mean, I had fun with Titan Quest, which you could argue was Diablo in
Esque.
Yeah, and that was pretty. I mean, when you went into dungeons, of course, it was dark, but it had a lot of bright overworld stuff.
Why do you think fans? Why do you think there's such an outcry over this?
Well, the only problem I have with it personally is that Diablo himself is hot pink. Looks a little, looks a little,
It's like 1992, never ended.
I think that people think, we already have WoW, has this bright water style, and WoW's getting too popular. Like this, visual whatever is
Getting too popular.
It's going to dominate my entire life, and I just can't escape it. So, I don't know. Maybe people are, a little burned out on the.
Do you think there's
just the
a
WoW
goth
aesthetic.
contingent that really resonated with this game? Is that why?
Well, did you see the Penny Arcade cartoon?
No, I didn't actually.
That was pretty good.
All right. Next, we have a question about Madden and downloadable updates. Let's see. Who wants to take that one, guys?
I think you should tackle that one, Shane.
I am sort of the resident video game jock, so to speak. So I guess I will answer this one. I was wondering, do you guys think that Madden will ever do a downloadable update every year instead of making people buy the game every year? I just feel it's kind of unfair, especially when they don't change too much other than the updated roster and a couple new mechanics. Actually, this year's game has a ton of updates to it. There's all kinds of new stuff, some for the good, some for the bad, as you guys probably saw in our review. The big new feature is the Madden IQ. Basically, as soon as the game boots up, you take this on-the-field test to set your skills at the game. And after you set your IQ, then that adjusts up or down based upon how you do in all the other game modes. And then the game is supposed to adjust to you based upon your IQ level. The problem is that it adjusts very cheaply. Instead of it just making the game more difficult, say you do really well in the passing drill, the game will just make it so your quarterback just throws the ball into the ground. Or say you did really well in the running test, suddenly your running back can't break any tackles. So it's not like it really makes the defenders come up more quickly so that you have to be better with your jukes or something like that. It just does it in a really cheap way.
Good job, smart guy.
So you got to dumb yourself down on purpose to have an easier game.
Yeah, and all the other new features are sort of tied into that IQ and how it affects the game. And the rosters, sure. I mean, at the very least, at the start of a new season, I think that they should update the rosters for last year's game. If you enjoyed playing last year's game, just give you the new rosters for last year's game. Still release the new game for the people who want the new features. then of course it makes it a much more difficult sell at $60. Unless you buy it at 7-Eleven where it's $50.
But I mean, charge money for the roster upgrade. Not everyone wants to drop $60, but there's that contingent you want to play Madden with your friends, so you have to get the new version of your friend. It kind of goes viral. But I think they could, if it's just tweaking stats and some like pre-made graphics, sell it for $10, $15.
Another thing really good about this year's Madden is that the graphics have been improved a lot. So if you start to fall into that trap, then you run the risk of football games never moving forward, and people complain about how stagnant they are now. Imagine if they offered the roster download for $5, then there'd be no incentive to really move forward. Everyone would just keep downloading the new rosters. So,
well, how if they did it like on an every other year cycle? So you could hold on to one Madden for a year. So but if you're hardcore, you want to upgrade.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I think they should take 2 years to build the foundation of each football game anyway. It's never going to happen, though. I mean, they're leaving way too much money on the table. Until people stop buying Madden at the price that it's at with the upgrades that it has every year, they're never going to stop. So, really, the power is in your hands, Jason555. Stop buying the game the way they create it now, and they'll take their time and include more updates to the next one.
Make some bitchy forum posts, too.
Yeah. Or start an online petition to change the art style.
Isn't there a Brett Favre patch?
There is.
Yeah,
they are putting out an
day one.
update, I believe, tomorrow. Well, I guess that would be 3 days ago. But yeah, they're putting out a patch that will put Favre on the Jets. I mean, something like that, you have to do it. I mean, you can't, especially when it's the cover boy. I also find it funny that they're not going to change the cover of the game.
You are going to be allowed to go online, download the new cover, print it out, and then slip it in your game case.
Who the hell's going to do that?
Hey, I did that for Wii Sports.
No, you didn't.
I printed out Wii Sports, and I got a case, and I put it in a regular case so I didn't have to fold it in that little cardboard thing it came with.
What?
That's 10 minutes you're never getting back.
That is. And
Why
I
would you
spent
do
$3.99 or something for the...
Did you print it, or is it like needlepoint?
No, I printed it on the color printer at work. And
Brooks. Why?
so that it was continuous with my other titles on my shelf.
Next question, and I guess it's a general consensus question.
Yeah,
so-
digging through the comments, there was, off of last week's episode, there was a lot of this. I'm just going to boil it down to these simple words. Should we have Best Exclusive Awards? And this is, of course, in relation to E3 and the consoles. And I think the big thing here is that we're only doing awards for games that are playable.
Right.
And sometimes there aren't.
Even with that, it's like, see, here's the problem. The people that are making these comments are people who favor one console. So they're just trying to manipulate us to award games that they want to win awards. We don't care about that crap. All we care about is making sure that we're showing people who really like to play video games what the best games are for their console.
I could see like kind of a pandering to the audience argument for, if it as a separate award, not saying it replaces, best of anything. But if people are curious what they think are the best exclusive titles on their platform.
Here's my rule of thumb. Never pander. Period.
Yeah. How about placate?
Synonyms are not going to work.
Peas.
Look, I know you guys are upset we didn't give God of War 3 an award or whatever. Whatever game you guys thought should have won an award that wasn't playable there, I apologize, but that's just not the way our editorial works, and there's really no reason to do it other than to placate or pander to fanboys. So, there are lots of people out there who own all the consoles, and they don't care about this crap, and we work for those people, the people who really want to find out what the best games are for whatever system it is that they have. And, based upon our comparison videos, all the hate that those get from the fanboys, they still do 200,000-300,000 downloads. So, obviously, the majority of people that come to our site are looking for just straight-line game journalism. They don't care about what consoles a game is for. They just want solid information, and that's what we're going to keep giving them. Sorry, guys. All right, next we're going to talk about online gaming, and more specifically, lag. This issue kind of came up recently. We've been playing Soul Calibur 4 online. I know wirelessly I have yet to have a lag-free game, so I have to actually plug it in with the direct line to get to get a game that doesn't have an incredible amount of lag. What do you guys think about this? Do you think it's just a nitpick of people who are serious, like tournament players, or do you think the average player is just as put off by lag in online games?
Well, there's definitely a valid concern behind it because, fighting games nowadays are very precise. We've come a long way from Street Fighter 2 where it's pretty forgiving. the fighters are a lot faster. You know, there are a lot more precise inputs required, especially for a game like Soul Calibur 4, where you have to do timing with juggles and you have to time the guard impacts or the parries. I've actually played quite a few matches with my friends on the East Coast. Actually, this past weekend I was playing with my friend in Florida, and if you guys know, we're here in California. And I've had the 4-5 connection, the green or blue connections, whatever, and they're actually fairly lagless for me.
Yeah.
I was able to guard impact pretty regularly.
Wow.
I was landing my combos, and I thought it was okay. I've had the occasional 3-bar match, which is, you know, few and far in between, but for the most part, I'm pretty satisfied with the online component of Soul Calibur. But in general,
That's
I
funny
mean,
because I stopped playing it altogether.
Oh, really?
Are you going through an Ethernet cable, or are you going wireless?
I am. I'm not going wirelessly.
Yeah.
That's
I've been trying to play wirelessly.
It's
and
wireless.
It's worthless.
We
yeah.
saw it with
Smash Brothers.
Smash Brothers. Everyone
Yeah.
went out and bought the adapters so they could go in. It's just that's not the developer's fault either. That's just the micro lag. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you even get that with wireless controllers. I mean, I remember
Yeah.
playing Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, and I couldn't jump on my Wavebird. I couldn't jump on the Goomba's heads more than like 3 times. Switched to a wired controller, and I was racking it up. There's hope, right, Patrick? What's that netcode thing?
Oh, yes. Well, this is more on the Street Fighter side of things, but something I'm really looking forward to is this netcode that Capcom and the Shoryuken community is coming up with called GGPO. And basically, it's just this homebrew netcode where it's completely optimized towards 2D fighters.
Wow.
They've already implemented it in the Street Fighter HD Remix beta, and the first build of it wasn't too great, but they've since released a patch for it, which made it really solid. It's I've had some really good matches on it. Of course, there's still some hiccups here and there, but I think it bodes well for 2D fighting. I'm hoping that they can also apply that to Street Fighter 4, which is coming out pretty soon.
It's been like February of next year.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that this will bring back some of the arcade feel back to the video game community.
I think what I found is that it's also genre by genre. For instance, I play on my wireless connection all the time. I play shooters, sports, whatever. Nothing is as debilitating as playing it with a fighting game.
Yeah.
In Soul Calibur specifically, I can play Madden or Call of Duty or whatever, and sure, lag may affect whether I get a kill here or there in a match, but I mean, Soul Calibur for me wirelessly, it just literally will pause for 5 or 10 seconds at a time. It's like a fight in slow motion.
Yeah.
So, I guess what it really comes down to is, it's still worth it. I still want to play online. It's still fun. I think for people who play games for fun, lag's not that big of a deal. It's for the people who are really serious and only care if they win or lose, I think, that it really bothers.
Exactly. And I mean, even if there is a small bit of lag, games are still pretty playable, even a fighting game. Like, I've had really laggy Smash Brothers fights, but, even if you have to dumb down your game a little bit, it's still fun, even if you're not playing at, a certain level.
And that's what it's all about. Fun. Entertainment.
Just don't throw away those Ethernet cords just yet.
Yeah. All right, last week there was an event up in San Francisco for Skate 2. The first Skate obviously was critically acclaimed. I wasn't the world's biggest fan of it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it got the fundamentals of skateboarding right. And believe it or not, people, I used to be a huge skater. I skated for about 10 years. And here's a picture to prove it. Believe it or not, that is really me. So I think I reviewed the original Skate from a different perspective than a lot of other people did. I think a lot of people reviewed it as purely a video game. I reviewed it as a skater who likes video games. And I liked it, but it also chopped about half the tricks out of the skating repertoire, which really, really bothered me. Patrick, what were your impressions after going up to see Skate 2? And by the way, this is the Patrick Morales Show.
I guess it is.
Today it's all about P-More.
Oh, you brought it back.
So what'd you think, man?
Well, I liked the first Skate a lot, and it seems like they're definitely doing a lot more with Skate 2. In regards to tricks, they are definitely amping that up here. One of the key things about it is that you could set up props around the stage to kind of set up any ideal circumstance when you would want to do a trick. Like if you want to make a good grind, you can put a bench in this in a certain place, and then you can grind off that. And you can kind of work with the environment that way.
Ironically, which is something the last Tony Hawk had in it that people just didn't give a crap about.
Yeah, well,
the whole rigging mechanic.
That's one of Skate 2's big things now. In terms of the repertoire, you can do things off your board, and you can do things with 1 foot. They're still kind of keeping quiet about the extent of how they're, bringing about all these different tricks. But it seems like they're definitely working on it. There's new modes. You can go down a slalom type downhill track. And one of the big things is that it's now 60 frames per second, which is pretty big visually.
Did it sacrifice any visual quality to get there?
Visually, I don't think it really sacrificed much because it still looks, plays, and feels like the first Skate. It just looks a lot smoother this time around. But something that did kind of concern me a little bit is that I was speaking to Scott Blackwood, who is one of the developers of Skate 2, and he said that they were butting heads over whether or not it should be 60 frames per second because it would somehow affect the quality of the Skate videos that you could do with, like the overlay effects and stuff. Hopefully, they said that they're going to work around it, make it a non-issue. But so far, from what I've seen, it's looking good, and I think it's going to be another good game to look out for in the future.
Now, are they improving the video feature? Because last year that was another spot where Tony Hawk pretty much mopped the floor with Skate.
Not a whole lot revealed thus far. They didn't even have any mock-up videos there for show, but hopefully they'll let on more details in the future.
The other issue that a lot of people had with the last Skate was...
You can't be a chick.
Well, that was one of them.
Yeah.
The other issue was that some tricks, it was like pulling off a 360 flip versus a 360 impossible or whatever was impossible. Mm-hmm. Like there was some missions where they just ask you to do a very specific grind or trick down a handrail or whatever, and nailing that one specific trick was almost impossible because of how closely together all the other input commands were tied.
Right.
Have they addressed that at all?
Well, in regards to Justin's question, you can be a chick this time.
Right. All right.
In terms of nailing that trick, I think what they're trying to do is they're going to work with the shoulder and the trigger and bumper buttons more, just to kind of separate the tricks, right, so that they're not strictly relegated to the thumbstick.
So maybe use like one of those buttons as a modifier to pull off a whole other set of tricks instead of trying to map them all to the right analog stick.
I think that's the goal.
More tricks in there, right? So since they're putting more in, they'll have to do something.
Yeah. We're pretty overextended on the last one.
Yeah, so I think that's the general goal that they're going for. They're going to try to use the shoulder buttons a lot more just to kind of separate the tricks so that they're not muddled in that right analog stick.
One thing they nailed the first time was the feel of really skateboarding.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that part of the game. That's the first game I really felt like I was really skating down the street. I had more control over my ollies and things like that than I had in prior games. And there was actually like a learning curve involved with just ollieing and landing on a ledge and grinding or sliding. You had to actually get the timing down, know how far away with the speed that you had. You needed to crack an ollie to get onto an object, and I thought that they really replicated that well. So hopefully they can fix up the other problems, and we'll have the world's best skateboarding game. All right, lastly, we're going to talk about Facebreaker, EA's new arcade-style boxing game, very much in the vein of Ready to Rumble, which was a Dreamcast launch game that actually sold pretty well when the Dreamcast came out of the gate on $99.99. In fact, this is very similar to Ready to Rumble. He even has Peter Moore as one of sort of the people backing it, which is kind of ironic. But have you guys played it at all? What did you think of it?
I got about 15 minutes, and I played both PS3 and 360 because I did the comparison video, and I found them to be identical, first of all. But the game itself, when I played an opponent on easy, it was extremely difficult. I had a hard time just landing a punch, so that was difficult for me. I'm used to other boxers. This one's a little too arcadey for me. I like more of like the Fight Night with the analog sticks that you could get in there and do different moves. This one maps to the buttons.
Yeah, it's just basically
it says it's not
two punch buttons.
Yeah.
There's high punch and low punch.
It says it's not a
little
button
bit of rock,
masher,
paper,
but
scissors.
Yeah,
sort
it
of
feels
feel.
like it's going that route a little bit right now. I need some more time with it, though.
Yeah, you've only played the demo, right?
No, I played our build.
We have the build. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I only played the demo and didn't like it at all at first, and kind of had fun, but it may have just been Stockholm syndrome, putting some time into the game. But I don't know. Like, I have played Ready to Rumble, and I feel like I don't need to play it again.
Yeah, I played it this weekend. I actually took it home and played it for probably a good 2 hours or something like that. It was difficult. I did manage to win my first couple matches that I
Yeah.
played, but like barely.
What's the big thing? You have to counter and block in order to just get a punch off, it seems like, right?
No, I mean, a lot of it is switching your high and low punches depending on how they're trying to block. And another part of it is like once you get to a certain level, you need to start using like your over-the-top attacks,
Right.
so you can start launching people into the air. Like a big part of it is getting your opponent's meter all the way down and then using one of the big punches to send them into the air to sort of knock them down. I didn't see any knockouts in the game. All I saw were basically 3 knockdowns and you would win, or the computer would win. But it's very much a button masher. I mean, you have to get your punches in so quickly. It's like you get a window and you just mash it till they block.
It does look really quick. There's a lot of,
And it does move fast. I think the graphics are pretty impressive.
Yeah,
the
everything
lighting
looked
and
good.
stuff in it looked really good.
What do you think about so you think the graphics are technically okay, but what,
Yeah,
what about
technically.
the style and the humor?
No, the
Did
characters,
you break
man.
anyone's face?
Yeah, I mean,
Slow motion where the jaw separates from.
You can hit girls, right?
Yeah,
That's cool.
we do not condone domestic
are you
abuse
trying
on
to
invisible walls.
Just virtual.
Yeah.
Unless she hits you first.
Well, the damage looked kind of cheesy. It looked okay when you were fighting, but like in between rounds, it would show a close up of your fighter, and it would just basically stack an extra polygon underneath their eye if they had a fat eye.
What about the blonde in between the rounds that holds up the signs?
Oh God.
She'd hold it upside down
How
and give it.
gratuitous is that?
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Plus, it has the same like moaning sound effect like every time they show her.
My biggest problem is that it looks like a kid's game and it looks like it's trying to cater towards younger kids, but it's still the difficulty factor was really difficult.
You're right. It does look like a kid's game, and there's no way kids are going to be able to handle this game. It's
Yeah.
way too complex for a kid to get a grip
Well,
on.
once you memorize the 18 different types of breakers,
Yeah.
aid breaker, air breaker,
Oh, you're right.
phase breaker,
Yeah, it just and the characters in it
Airbreaker.
are just like
brick breaker.
it's like they went on some
Wheel
internet
breaker.
app that's like create a character for a boxing video game, and they just plugged in like this guy's from Uganda. He
That
needs to
website
be
was like,
fat.
finally a customer.
Yeah, the characters are all very generic and stereotypical. I didn't really resonate with any of them. Even like the DJ guy was just like
Is there one guy with sock puppets? It looks a little weird.
I didn't
And
see
he
that
talks
guy
to them,
actually.
and then he beats him with a sock puppet.
There's
Can
like
I
the
get the
witch
Rockefeller
doctor
explosion?
that looks like
Oh, yeah.
Kamala, the Ugandan giant from the old WWF days.
Uh-huh.
It's just very generic. I'll be
It's definitely not Punch Out though.
no.
And I don't know if we'll ever see a modern Punch Out.
Why?
Punch Out Wii.
Lag.
Push out for the Wii. Come on, man. It's just sitting there. Wait,
Yeah,
maybe
the last one
Motion
we had
Plus-
was Super Punch Out so long ago.
It's ridiculous.
We already got our core Nintendo game.
Yeah.
We have to wait till next year.
Animal Crossing.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll be back every Thursday from here on out. Once again, sorry for the slight hiatus we had, but we're going to keep on rocking. And if you guys keep tuning in, we'll keep making them. See you next week.